we forget after we've been through the slog, or even when we're in the transition, that part of the process isn't just about removing the negative and holding boundaries with what we don't want, but it's about allowing ourselves to bring in more of the goodness and more of what we do want, because there's something that we need to replace that void with. Right? That void of, oh, I'm not saying these negative things to myself anymore. What do I want to put in instead? Hello and welcome to the Unlock Lab. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Tosca DiMatteo, your host, and I'm thrilled to talk to you today about what to do after you quiet your inner critics. I have a whole series on our inner critics and our different types of inner critics, but I wanted to focus especially on what do we start to do to bring in the goodness after we start to hold boundaries with the narratives in our head that aren't serving us. But before I jump in, if you're new to the podcast, welcome. I'm thrilled you're here. I'm the founder of Tosca Coaching and Consulting, and I help folks and organizations at the intersection of personal growth and professional breakthroughs. So if you are looking to motivate your teams, motivate yourself, or get to that next level in your career, learn more at coachtosca.com. That's coachtosca.com. All right. So listen, this episode was really inspired by a conversation I was having with a client recently. And this client had incredible inner critics running around, taking over every conversation in her life for a very long time. We've been working together for several months, and we started getting to the point where she had this uber awareness of what she was saying to herself. And that is a huge feat. I always say the first step of quieting your inner critics is to really pay attention to them and to know what you're saying to yourself. So this was a huge milestone, but she was realizing that it was still kind of coming in there. And I recognized in this particular session that she was at the stage where it wasn't just about creating the boundary with that inner critic voice anymore. It wasn't just about recognizing what you're saying to yourself. She was at the point where she was ready to start bringing in more goodness into her life, to start bringing in a lot more of the positive messaging in her life. And that's what I want to really talk to you about today, because when we get in our own way, we have to first recognize what those obstacles are. And for 99% of my clients, we do deep inner critic work to understand how we're getting in our own way of what it is that we want. The next piece is we have to start bringing in more goodness, more of the things that fill us up, more of the things that make us feel good. And as I was working with this client, we were brainstorming what was going to work for her, what felt good, because it is different for everybody. And at different times in your life and in different situations, you may want to use different tools. So I just want to share some of these right now. What I mean by bringing in the good stuff is bringing in the narratives and the thoughts and the beliefs that you want to actually lead your life with. So you may have heard of affirmation work, right? It's big, right? I am powerful, right? I am fill in the blank, whatever those are for you. And the idea is to really identify those mantras or those affirmations that you can really connect with. And maybe you can't connect with them fully, but if you can connect to them just a little bit, you're on the right track. What I don't recommend is choosing affirmations that feel extremely ridiculous to you right now, because that's not going to actually help you. One of the affirmations that I've used recently in my life is, I am manifesting magic in my life every day. And I can get in touch with that. There are definitely times where I feel less connected than others, but it's something that I allow myself to say to myself. I say it out loud sometimes. I even have mala beads where I say it to myself 108 times at least. You can use affirmations anytime that you want. And I especially recommend using them after you have set that boundary with your inner critic. So after you said, no, negative Nancy, I'm not listening to you today. You are no longer needed here. Then what you can do is say, I am manifesting magic in my life every day, so that you come back to the truth. You come back to what it is that you want for yourself. This is just one example of how you can bring in the kinds of thoughts that you want to say to yourself instead of what your inner critic has been filling your mind with for the past however many years. Let me take a pause from this episode really quick because I want to talk to you about an amazing location. If you're trying to create memories for yourself, for your family, or your friends, I want to tell you about Atrium 82. It's an intimate demi-luxury venue here in Brooklyn, New York, designed for unforgettable moments. Whether you're planning a micro wedding, a birthday bash, an elegant bridal shower, or a book signing, Atrium 82 offers the perfect blend of urban elegance and affordability. With stunning Tiffany stained glass windows, a historic brownstone, and top-tier service, Atrium 82 isn't just a venue. It's the canvas for your next unforgettable gathering. Celebrate in history. Celebrate with intention. Celebrate with purpose. Celebrate at Atrium 82. To learn more about this gorgeous space or book a gathering today, visit atrium82.com and make your next magical memory. Mention Tosca and get a free gift. And I'm sharing this with you because I have also used this venue and created some amazing memories there for myself. Some of the other things that you can do to start being your own best friend is treating yourself well, right? So it's about honoring how you want to treat yourself versus how your inner critic has been making you feel for years on end. So that can be as simple as buying yourself flowers. It can be taking yourself out on a date night. It can be setting up time with friends that lift you up. It can be listening to your favorite music on blast. And actually, this music piece is rather interesting because listening to music can also be a tactic for drowning out your inner critic narrative when it's really loud. Because when you're listening to loud music, you kind of can't think about much else, usually. The other thing about music is it can be used as your affirmation. It can be used as a reminder of who you are, of who you're becoming, of who you want to be in the world. And to be quite honest, it was a couple of years ago where I was in a really troubling spot in my mental health space. And I had this playlist and that I played every day for almost a year. Now, I mean, I'm not going to say it was like every single day, 365, but I was really consistently listening to this playlist while I was in the shower, while I was getting ready in the morning. And what that did for me is really it staved off the inner critic before it even started. But it also started my day with, this is the energy I want to be in. This is who I am. Oh, right. I forgot. I'm awesome. I'm amazing. I'm beautiful. All the things. And that can be a great antidote to what your inner critic may or may not be telling you, right? So it's about really bringing in the good stuff. Part of bringing in the good stuff is also giving yourself permission to open up to new possibilities. So once you started to see, oh, this is the inner critic, you may even understand, oh, I know where this comes from. And now you might have more space and more ability to dream a little bit about what it is that you want for yourself. Because when we've been stuck in a little bit of paralysis, when we've been stuck in perfectionism, when we've been stuck in all the muck that our inner critics are getting us stuck in, there will come a time when the fog kind of clears and you start to say, oh, well, what is it that I want? Because now I'm moving past all that stuff that I didn't want. I didn't want these narratives in my head all the time. I didn't want me to be my own worst enemy. I didn't want to be getting in my own way. But now what? Because that can be actually a tough transition to go from only knowing what it feels like to beat yourself up to, wow, what does it feel like to actually let the good stuff in, to actually let the hope in and the positivity in and the trusting of what's coming to you and the trusting that this is not just a moment in time, but something you can sustain. This is a whole rewiring, if I'm honest with you. It's a journey to rewire ourselves because we can get really comfortable and even addicted to those feelings and thoughts that we're so used to. And it can be uncomfortable to say positive things to ourselves, to say affirming things because it's so foreign. So I just really want to introduce this practice to you about bringing in more of the good stuff. And this is especially important right now when we're so challenged around the world with uncertainty, with harshness, with bully behavior, all the things. And it's even more important when that's kind of the external vibe to say, okay, how do I let more good into my life so that the external stuff doesn't become all consuming and doesn't become my go to for stimulation? So, bringing more good stuff might mean planning more artistic endeavors for yourself, unleashing your creativity a bit. Part of coming out of the clouds in our life or looking for ways to come out of our clouds, even is to look for the creative within us, to let that creative within us out in whatever way you feel pulled. That might be writing a poem for the first time in 20 years. That might be signing up for a pottery class. It could be starting your own yoga practice and trusting yourself and your own flow. It may sound like, duh, Tosca, why are you sharing this? But I know that in the work with my clients, we forget after we've been through the slog, or even when we're in the transition, that part of the process isn't just about removing the negative and holding boundaries with what we don't want, but it's about allowing ourselves to bring in more of the goodness and more of what we do want, because there's something that we need to replace that void with, right? That void of, oh, I'm not saying these negative things to myself anymore. What do I want to put in its stead? And this can be, you can think about this on many levels, on energetic levels, on attention levels, on levels of action and doing. But what are we going to do with the space that we want to hold for the good stuff? And it's not about waiting for the good stuff to happen to us. It's not about waiting for the joy that happens when that thing turns out that we've been working so hard on for the past however many years, right? But it's about filling with the good stuff in advance to call in more good stuff. And I think about, I did an episode recently, right, where I shared with you my journey of doing the storytelling competition. And before I even did the live competition piece, I was filling myself with good stuff, right? I was getting my nails done. I was figuring out what my outfit was going to be. I was buying myself flowers. I was going for walks and just enjoying myself. And this was about me filling my cup so that when I went to do the work of working on the story, of slogging through that I was doing so from a place of, I feel as filled up as I can right now, because part of that process was depleting. This is the same for those of you in that job hunt or figuring out what's next in transition in your life. You could be spending a whole lot of time doing the things that are hard, like updating your resume, like applying to jobs, networking. And these things are slogs. And hopefully you are enjoying the journey of that. And if you're not, I hope you call me, because I support you in doing that work with levity and some joy and some ease, because I feel like that's how it can be done. But I digress. But when we're doing those hard things, if all we're doing is focusing on the hard things and we're not actually focused on also adding the good, adding the fun, adding the levity, it's going to be a harder go. You pick it up what I'm putting down here. We have to offer the balance in our lives. That might mean you want to take some opportunity to brainstorm. You want to take a minute to pause and say, what's missing right now? What do I need more of? Do I need more ways to be kind to myself? Do I need more ways to feel and know my worthiness? Do I need connection? Do I maybe need to lean on others to help me with the goodness that I want to bring in that I can't quite see yet? And that's really important, that piece. Like our community can support us and can lift us up. And it's so important to allow others to be our cheerleader for us at the same time where we are building the muscle for ourselves. And so I invite you to ask yourself, what is the goodness that I want to bring into my life proactively? What is the muscle that I need to build for myself now? And that muscle might be that positive affirmations, that speaking to yourself with kindness. I hope that this is giving you some ideas that when we're going through rough times and when we're doing the work to get out of it, like we're doing the doing of all that, we have to be mindful of what are we allowing in our life that brings more goodness in. And whether that's emotionally, physically, mentally, all of the planes of life, all of these different arenas, play with all of them. They're all important. Because what I wouldn't want you to do is walk away from this conversation and say, okay, I'm just going to start doing affirmations and that's going to be enough. No, I think we got to do more than just that. It's more than just feeding our mind, it's feeding our body and feeding our soul. I hope that this was helpful to you. And if it was, then I hope that you will take a moment to like, rate, and review this podcast on whatever platform you're listening on. And if you're looking for more ways to bring the goodness into your life, to allow for more levity in the journey, even though things are hard right now, please call me. I'm taking on new one on one clients. I'd be honored to work with you and help you through the slog and find those tools that will work for you to climb out of whatever rut or hole you feel like you've been in. It's spring. It's a perfect time to do this work because there's already a lot in the air that's going on that serves us to remembering that there's always hope out there to hang on. All right. Love you guys. I'm so glad you're here. I appreciate you. And ciao for now.